Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, that is Tim, and we talk about horror movies on this show. And this episode we are discussing the Patreon vote winner for the month of December. The winner was Killer Klowns From Outer Space. That's clowns with a K, very important. And we are going to talk about this. We'll start spoiler free as we always do. We'll give you a warning before we go into spoilers somewhere in the middle, and we'll go from there. It's also worth mentioning this will be the final episode, regular episode of the year. And what I mean by that is that after this episode, you've got Christmas episodes coming up before going into a New Year's episode, before then coming out on the other side into January with a fresh perspective of life and everything. Yes. Also worth mentioning for patrons, the new vote for patrons should be up, if not already, then soon. By the time this goes up, and you can vote in January's. We're doing a sort of best of the years kind of like losers and all the votes. So we've picked 4 that lost over the year and given them a second chance. So that's what it was. But hey.
Yeah, I like the phrase "second chance" better than "best of the losers."
I like second. Yeah, second chance is good. Yeah, second chance January. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, Killer Klowns from Outer Space is a notorious movie, mainly for its title more than anything else, just because it's got such a wacky title. We've both seen this before. When did you see this? Like before?
I don't know how old I was, but I actually like remember that we took like my family like took like a small vacation up to like I think just like spend a weekend at like a beach house or something, and we're looking for like stuff to do, and we went to like a video store there to like, and I remember they let me pick out a movie, and I passed that one, and I was like, okay, we're getting this. Like
your
so
parents
actually
must have hated you.
Yes, I must have been like pretty young, because I feel like we didn't take as many family vacations and stuff when we were older. So I don't know, it was probably maybe 12 or 13, maybe around that range.
Oh, a good age for Killer Klowns, for sure.
Oh yeah, perfect.
A great age, yes. I watched this for the first time like 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh wow, okay.
In fact, I want to say that it was the Blu-ray that I have that I watched it on. That's how I saw it for the first time. Obviously watching it for the title, for its notorious reputation, and so on. But yeah, I have to open with a tinge of disappointment, because I don't think it lived up to its title for me when I watched it the first time. I was kind of like, it was okay, but it wasn't. I don't know. There was elements that didn't quite work for me in the same way that I was hoping they would. Not that I was expecting a good movie, because it's called Killer Klowns From Outer Space. There's
exactly, yeah.
But for what I was expecting, it was a little bit disappointing. But
well, I mean, obviously, your opinion is your own. But see, I feel like the kind of the opposite, where I feel like this really delivers on its like premise. Like I feel like I hear the words "Killer Klowns From Outer Space," and this like obviously. With a title like that, you're not really expecting a high cinema or anything.
But obviously, yeah.
I feel like it delivers exactly what I thought it would. And I mean, again, like similar to you, like I don't think this is like an amazing movie. Like I wouldn't. I think I had it somewhere on my top 50 list, but I wouldn't put it in like my top 10 or anything. But I think it is a fun enough movie.
Yeah, when I say it didn't, or was disappointed based on my expectations, it's not so much that it didn't deliver what the title makes me think it would deliver. It's more just how it delivers it, and like the characters, and just something feeling a little bit off. I don't dislike it. Like it's fine.
For sure.
It's not up there with some other like campy, cheesy 80s movies that I really like. Because let's be honest, this sounds like it should be right up my alley. Like. Like silly clown movie from the 80s. Like, I think one of my initial disappointments actually is that the clowns, the alien clowns obviously, are like kind of monstery in the sense that they're the big prosthetic sort of makeup, kind of larger than life heads kind of thing.
Yeah, they kind of like look and move a little awkward. Like I'm okay with them being kind of monstrous. Like, you know, like I don't need him to just look like a regular person in a clown outfit. Like I like that there is a little bit of an alien aspect to him.
Well, it's funny because I never thought about it before I watched it. It's not like I went in going, "Oh, these better be human beings in clown makeup," you know, going around killing people. Right. It was just when I actually got to them and it started. This is going to sound like a really weird complaint for this movie, and I get how ridiculous this sounds. I do, but it's almost too silly. And I know that sounds stupid because it's Killer Clowns from Outer Space, but there's that points where it stops, like it doesn't even pretend to be a real movie. It just does like a parody moment, right? And I'm like, I don't know, like I think if I had a stronger set of characters who were taking me through the journey, I'd be into it more. But the weird thing about this movie is that the main characters are actually very small in terms of screen time. A lot of this movie is actually just almost little sketches that you get for like a comedy show, where each of the kills are just a random person in town encountering a clown, and then how does the clown interact with that person before they kill them?
Yeah, no, see, I actually, that doesn't bother me. Like, I kind of think that's some of the best stuff of the movie. Like, it's yeah, like the whole middle is basically just them going around and you know, killing people. But I love that it's always like a different, unique way. Like, you know, and they're all obviously they're always very like silly or stupid or whatever. But yeah, I like that it's kind of like just showcasing like all this. I'm assuming they just had a bunch of different ideas, like how would a clown kill person, and everything they came up with is like throw it in. And again, like, you know, in other movies I'd probably be complaining more about like, you know, oh, how are they justifying this for the story or whatever. But you know, and again, in this movie, it's kind of like all I really want to see is clowns killing people in weird clown ways, and I don't know, it delivers at least you know, for me on that. And
I wonder if I wonder if the deaths are just too cartoony for me to enjoy on like a horror movie level, because they're not very like gory or violent or bloody for the most part. They're some of them are just like ray guns that just kind of make them blink out of existence or into cotton candy. And I guess where it gets more inventive is when it's usually stuff like shadow puppets and stuff like that. And
that seems great. Yeah,
that's a little bit different, but it's weird. I feel like I don't know why I don't love this. I can't really explain it. Like, I'm trying to think about it, and I'm trying to think, yeah, would I be happier with some people in clown makeup just going about murdering people in normal ways? I probably would prefer that, to be honest, but maybe that's just a taste thing.
I mean, weird. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, I like this, you know, quite a bit, but like I maybe I'm a little similar where like I feel like I don't love it as much as some people. Like, I know there are some people that, you know, would talk about this the same way I would talk about like Evil Dead 2 or something, where they're like, oh man, this is just so much fun, you know, I watch it all the time and stuff. And like, but yeah, this isn't something I watch all the time. Like, it's definitely been like a couple of years since I last watched it, but I mean, you know, I'm usually like pleasantly, you know, happy enough when I watch it. But
it's not a bad watch. Like, I'm into it well enough, but I don't enjoy it as much as other cheesy stuff. Like, I feel like most people who love this the same way I love Chopping Mall. And I don't, think it just doesn't feel the same to me for whatever reason. Even though, like, yeah, it's got cheesy characters and they're kind of goofballs, but it doesn't stick with them enough, maybe, or it doesn't like I don't know. Like, there's the two brother characters who have the ice cream truck. They're very cartoony and very silly. Then you've got the sound effects that kind of go with it. You almost hear like, you know, the classic sort of slipping sound effects and the wazoos and all that stuff when they're on screen, and if it isn't there, it feels like it is just because of how they're acting. I
do actually kind of like the music in it, though. It kind of starts with like this like banging like 80s jam, and then there's like
it's just a remix of the you know, it's that, but it's like a rock song.
Yeah, and then like there's this kind of like theme throughout the movie that like I don't know, kind of. I can't do it off the top of my head because it almost feels kind of like Gremlins-ish to me, but it's like a good it's a good theme though. Like, works well for this movie.
I think. Do you know what I think the movie does early on that kind of throws me a little bit is that the very first thing we see with the clowns is their giant ship, like inside their ship, right? It's like a big top, and they go inside, and it's all this like really over the top kind of like set building where it's like clown-esque looking spaceship with like all these chambers and like big cotton candy racks that are actually people in cocoons and all that stuff. And I think having the couple explore this ship just kind of feel like, okay, I wasn't expecting this. Like, at least not at the start. Like, this is the Act 3 stuff. You explore their crazy ship. Like, it's almost like it didn't know how to build up, like, gradually through the, you know.
I think like what the kind of the problem is, and you know, there's like a lot of horror comedies that, you know, will have a, like, it seems like, you know, they come up like with the premise and the jokes, but then they work like a well-told story around it. You know, I feel like with this, you know,
it's a series of those jokes. It's just they thought of different things to do and just did them in order.
Yeah, it's a gag movie, but then they don't really, you know, and again, like, you know, it sounds kind of stupid to, you know, criticize it too much, again, because of the, you know, source material. You're not supposed to take it too seriously, but, you know, I feel like if there was a better story constructed around it, it might be, you know, maybe singing its praises a little bit more. But
I feel like it has to go one way or the other. Either it has to have a better story and better characters so that I'm along for the ride for their like viewpoint, or it has to actually be worse and have like it's not like the acting's particularly good in this, but it's not bad enough that I'm like, you know, enjoying the terrible acting.
I kind of like the like I wouldn't say necessarily like the acting's bad, but like I do like the main character. Like I like how like it seems like he's always excited. Like he doesn't really have any subdued lines, and it's either like he's scared, so he's like screaming, or like even the beginning, like when he sees you know, his friends, the like the ice cream brothers, he's like so excited to see him. He's like, you know, just laughing, like, I love these guys, they're great. Like,
yeah, actually that's one of my weird things about the movie is how enthusiastic he is about telling people how great the Terenzi brothers are. Because he brings them up there where he's like, oh, the Terenzi brothers, like, oh, a night out with them's an adventure. And then later on in the film, when he sees them going, oh yeah, it's the Terenzi brothers, yeah, they're going to save us, yeah. Like, he's always singing their praises. It's weird.
And it's kind of weird because it's like it's made out that like they're supposed to be best friends, but they're very seldom together. Like it's, you know, like most movies, you know, oh, if it's the best friend character, he'd always be tagging along or being a third wheel or something. Like, you know, with this, it's like, oh yeah, they're best friends, but you never really see them interacting.
Do you know what I think is? I think I can sum up how I feel, like, or how this movie feels to me, is that it feels like, you know how we always talk about how bad movies that are great are like, they didn't know they were bad. They thought they were making a great movie.
Yeah.
I feel like this kind of feels like someone's trying too hard to be a dumb B movie, and as a result, it's coming off feeling a little bit phony to me.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily feel that way just because of the like time that it was made. Because like I feel like if this was done today, I would totally say that was what happened. Is, you know, some people thought they were funny, and
if you make this today, you have to do it dead serious, like straight down the middle. That's what will make it amazing.
Yeah. But like I feel like again though, like, I don't think that they thought they were making a good movie when they made it, but I thought maybe more like they thought they were making a, you know, funny movie that they do more comedy stuff. But I mean, I think, and again,
I'm not saying that I feel that way, like turned up, like full. I feel like I mildly feel that way. Yeah.
And I think because of the reputation and stuff, maybe you feel like you're supposed to love it. So when you only just like it or whatever, you're kind of like, oh, what's wrong with me?
Yeah. It's one, I found my attention drifting from, and this is like both times I watched it, the first time years ago and then like today watching it again. I felt like my attention would constantly drift because I felt like there was no like sort of continuing like pull on what was going on. It was just kind of like, okay, I'm paying attention for this skit while he's dealing with this guy at the bike, and then okay, I'll be back to the next one.
Yeah, I feel like it's like especially like during the beginning, like, you know, the stuff you don't care as much, and even like the stuff like, you know, the old man, you know, and his dog at the tent, and then like them exploring the spaceship. Like I can see like zoning out at that stuff. Like again, the middle section where that's where like where all the deaths and stuff are happening, or I guess if you can call them deaths, like whatever they're doing to him, like that definitely, you know, perks up my interest more. But yeah, I think I would say I'm a little more positive than you, but I'm definitely not, like, I don't totally disagree with you because I do also feel like this has a bigger reputation than like when I watch it, I'm like, oh, okay, I like it. I can see why it's fun, but I also don't love it. Like, I don't think it's like as amazing as some people think.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird to describe because it feels like something I should love. It really does, because it's this dumb 80s movie, because it's this cheese. But it's funny because there's a scene in this that's almost the same as a scene in Friday the 13th Part 8, which we'll be getting to in the near future. And,
okay.
And I actually much prefer the version of it in Friday the 13th Part 8, which is a weird thing to say as well, because Friday the 13th Part 8 is not exactly high art either, right?
No.
It's a goofy movie, but it, like, the scene I'm thinking of, like, I just, like, the pacing of it in the Friday the 13th one works better for me, whereas here it's kind of like, all of a sudden it just kind of happens.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
know.
fair.
I don't know what to...
I do like the one thing that does kind of make me laugh is I do like how like serious people like kind of like take the clowns and stuff, like, you know, no one because again, these are like weird giant like monstrous things, but like the way people see them, they're just like, oh look, it's a clown, like let's watch and like be entertained by it and stuff. Like who in the real world would not see that and be like, oh God, what is it?
Yeah, what's going on here? What's with this prosthetic? At the very least, you would think there was like professional prosthetic makeup effects going on here.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think this is the Chiodo brothers. I think did this. The people that did
that
Critters.
sounds right. That sounds right.
Yeah.
I do have to say I am a bigger fan of Critters than this.
Yeah, Critters is a lot of fun.
I think Critters is a more my speed. And something that we do want to get to at some point. But yeah, I am probably the one thing I like about it, the one, or not the one thing, like, because I think it's generally amusing is how I describe how I feel about this movie. But the plot element that's kind of recurring that I kind of like is, again, it's a funny kind of bad thing, but it works for what it is that the sheriff of the town, but for some reason believes that, obviously he hears like killer clowns around. He's like, yeah, okay, because right at the start he's like, he thinks every person who's under the age of 30 is a young punk, right? That's just kind of his attitude.
Yeah,
but he basically, even once like multiple people start calling in saying that, you know, telling him that they're seeing clowns murder people, he just like keeps writing off as, oh, it's those Terenzi brothers. They're trying to sell ice cream. Screw you, stop wasting my time. This is a police department. He gets multiple calls. He assumes it's the Terenzi brothers, who are somehow convinced everyone, even when he first hears it from our main character, he's like, hey, you used to hang around with those Terenzi brothers, those slackers. Yes, this is all to sell their ice cream. That's all this is. And
how does that sell ice cream?
And it all culminates when eventually, like, his deputy, who's like the third part of the love triangle with the main two characters, actually calls it in himself. Says, no, sheriff, seriously, I saw a clown murder someone. We have to do something about this. Where he even has this reaction to his own deputy. He's like, well, you're just one of those young idiots as well. Okay, I'll just stay here at the station. Everyone's wasting police time. He ignores every single call. He stops answering the phones. He is the worst sheriff in the history of sheriffing. Probably not. I imagine there's probably a sheriff somewhere who turned into a serial killer, and he's probably the worst. But, you know, he's close. He's up there.
Yeah.
he's up there with the worst of them.
Yeah. No, yeah, he's pretty bad. You know, he works well as that kind of over the top 80s bad guy that like you just despise from like the second they start talking.
The bad part of it is his because you kind of know that they're making him into such an asshole that he's going to have this big death, right? And I feel like his comeuppance death is kind of dull.
Yeah, the actual death isn't great. I kind of like what they do to him like after he's dead. Like that scene I actually thought was kind of cool.
I could see it. We're still on spoiler free, by the way, but I mean, I feel like saying that the asshole character gets killed eventually is not really much of a spoiler in a movie like this.
No. No, definitely not.
So, and it gets big and wacky towards the end. But yeah, so I'm kind of lukewarm on Killer Clowns. Like, I don't dislike it. I think it's a fine little amusing movie. But you know, pointing out some of the same people did Critters, I do definitely prefer Critters. And Critters is coming at some point on this show, especially since Sci-Fi want to do a new Critters movie apparently. So
yeah, and that I could be wrong, but I thought another rumor was that they wanted to do something with Killer Clowns as well. I don't know if it was
the news came at the same time. It was they want to do a new movie of both, but we've done this one now, so we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Whereas we've got 4 Critters movies we have to do, featuring the acting debut of one Leonardo DiCaprio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and maybe not a debut, but
debut. You can say it, Tim. I believe in you. I believe you can do it, Timmy. You can do it.
But Billy Zane is in the first one, I believe.
Oh, is he? I don't remember that. I'm looking forward to that now.
One of your favorite actors.
Was this before he was in the awful middle section of season 2 of Twin Peaks?
Well, actually, I don't know.
It would have been.
Yeah, it would have been before. Yeah,
it's because it's the end of the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you remember those plots and how he flew away in the plane and then never came back again.
Well, I don't remember them until now, so thank you for that. But
dear.
Yeah.
He flew back in time to the Titanic, and then he went down with the ship.
That's fair.
Actually, he didn't go down with the ship.
Became the Phantom.
Remember, he conned his way onto a lifeboat with a kid that wasn't his. That's it. He didn't die in Titanic. He was the actual character.
He survived, but then he redeemed himself and became the Phantom. And
I've not thought about the Phantom, Tim, in so long.
Well, it sounds. I'll let you and Matt take care of that. That sounds like that could be one of your next whatever rewinds or something.
I don't know, Timmy. I seem to recall feeling very scared about the thought of watching it again. So maybe it is more of a horror movie.
You know what? Why don't you guys do Phantom, and then we can do Phantoms.
I knew you were going with that joke the second you opened your mouth. The second you opened your mouth, I knew where that was going.
Well, that'd be a fun crossover.
Okay, there's that crossover.
A crossover that we don't actually cross over, but
yeah, for it to be a crossover, you'd have to come and do the Phantom on the other show, and then Matt would or Connor would have to come here to do Phantoms.
Well, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to do either movie. To be honest, I would rather watch the Phantom again than watch Phantoms.
Well, why don't you go over and do Phantom, and then Connor can come over and do Phantoms with me, and then
wait, why does that sound? Why does that sound like you just want to do an episode of this without me? That's all this sounds like now. How dare you, Timothy?
Hey, I didn't suggest it. I mean, the fans might like it, but
you did suggest that they wouldn't like it, and oh my god, married life has changed you, Tim. The audacity of some of these statements. Audacity.
I was trying to mix it up, but we'll see.
The audacity of a city, I'm doing some System of a Down in case anyone didn't get with it.
Oh, Jesus. I did not get it.
All right, spoilers. We're going to do spoilers for Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So here's the weird thing for me, right? Mm-hmm. This is not so much it's a critique for a normal movie. I don't know if I care about this as a critique for this movie, but it's something that I observed and I want to talk about it. So we have this kind of a love triangle for the main characters, right? We have our main couple, Mike and Debbie, and then we have the deputy, Dave, who turns out was an ex-boyfriend of Debbie, right? And Mike and Dave have a bit of a weird kind of tense relationship where Dave kind of sends Debbie home and she disappears for like half the movie. And Mike and Dave have this weird relationship where Dave puts Mike in handcuffs because he thinks he's a crazy man until they actually find evidence of like candy floss and clowns and whatnot. And then they kind of buddies. It's kind of weird. But here's the thing I want to talk about.
At what point do they need wedding dates? Is what I want to know.
What, Mike and Dave?
Yeah,
that's a good question. But here's the thing I was observing though, right? Is that for some reason, eventually Debbie is kidnapped by the clown, although not in the candy floss, like alive in a bubble, or a balloon, which was weird. And I thought the effect this was bad because every time they were walking around or looking at the balloon, it was clearly empty and light as a feather. But whenever it was a close up, you could see her like head inside it. And I was like, this is not Match. Stop it, movie.
That's how balloons work.
Shut up. So they get her out of the balloon, and then this is it to the third act when they're running around the ship and they're trying to escape and whatnot. And I noticed that when she comes out of the balloon, she hugs Dave and not Mike. And then as they're running around, she tends to be actually either holding Dave's arm or his hand, and Mike starts to feel like a third wheel. And I was like, did I miss a plot beat where she like told Mike that she's still in love with Dave and that they're actually going to like be back together again or something? And I was like, oh, maybe it's just all these subtle little body language things that don't mean anything. Maybe I'm reading into this too much. At the end, after the whole Clownzilla thing happens, which we'll talk about in a minute, and Dave shows up alive because you think Dave's left for dead, and then he comes crash landed on the little ship. He comes out, and both Mike and Debbie run up and hug him, right? But Debbie hugs him first, and then Mike kind of hugs around him awkwardly for a second, and then pulls back, and he feels at the third wheel. And then a second later, when they're standing there together, and Dave's kind of behind Debbie, he starts kissing the back of her head. And I'm like, did this movie establish that she's with Dave now again and not Mike? And if so, why is Mike so happy about everything? Because he doesn't seem to care. Tim, I don't understand the relationships in this movie. I understand the fact that the Terenzi brothers have sex with two clowns because they like big boobs more than I do any. Because for some reason, the Terenzi brothers think having an ice cream truck will get girls. Yeah, 10-year-old girls maybe. Grown women, not so much.
Yeah, you see, like throughout the movie, a lot of the times they're like, "Oh, like this is your idea. Like you said it would help us get girls," but it's like, yeah, how? Get girls? And then of course, like because
the movie opens with them with two girls in the truck, and the girls are like, "Wait, you try to like get us to have sex or stuff? We're here for the free ice cream and nothing else. Take us home right now." And I'm like, you actually got two women who you seem to barely know onto the truck just on the promise of free ice cream.
I think the joke is supposed to be that like, oh, like they're kind of like they're slightly bigger women, so of course all they care about is ice cream and stuff. But it was not in the best taste.
This film does not have what one would call a modern feminist lens through which it explores its characters.
I love the one scene where like a woman answers a door and it's just like a woman in like a nightgown with like a glass of wine
for no reason.
Like,
and that's just one of the clown death scenes. The Friday the 13th thing I was referring to earlier, of course, was the punching the head off someone. Was okay. I don't know. I felt like the deaths should be more gruesome and more horrifying, rather than as comical as they were. But maybe that's just me. Yeah,
and it's funny because I won't reveal the other movie we're going to be recording soon. But I watched two movies back to back, and they both had beheading scenes. It's like, that's nice.
The other one had a way better beheading scene.
Yeah, that's fair.
Vastly superior, one might say.
But I mean, to go back to your point, I didn't really pick up on that because I think it's a totally fair point you're making. But yeah, it's probably one of those things where they
did 5 scenes in the middle get deleted that kind of like did this whole like swerve on the romance.
I mean, possibly, who knows, or maybe originally he was supposed to be the love interest or something, and then at the end they were like, oh no, let's add this other person or something. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a weird thing. They probably figured no one will care. Like,
that's true. Although, I mean, go through the motions at least. I mean, so they end up with the ship and the clowns are all chasing them. The main character at one point, they're running away, and they get to a door, and he opens it, and there's another door, and then he opens that, and there's a smaller little door, and it's like 5 doors, one smaller after the other, but the 4th one, he was still yelling out, another door, like after every single one, and I'm like, yeah, we get it, there's more doors, you have to say it after every single one.
He's very excited about all these doors.
He's like, it's another door. It's another door. It's another door. Could you believe it? There's another door.
There's also like I mean, I don't know much about like a clown culture, I guess, but like
clown culture. They're not a society of people, Tim.
But I don't know. There's like a lot of stuff in this that is just like, oh, I don't know. Like, is that a clown thing? Like, just like, like yeah, stuff like with that door, and then like even like all like the stuff like with like popcorn and stuff. I was like, all right, I guess you get popcorn at the carnival, but I never really associated it with being that much of a clown thing, you know?
Yeah, the only real clown thing that really felt natural to me was the balloon animals, because he makes a balloon dog
yeah.
and then uses that as a sniffer dog, which I thought was an inventive little idea. I'll give them props for that little joke.
Yeah, that was fine. Maybe a little unnecessary because like the people are still in their like eye line.
Yeah,
like
no,
they could have just.
That's fair. It was
them,
unnecessary. I will grant you that.
I mean, do you have like a favorite death scene? Because I kind of think, again, just going back to the idea that this movie it's basically like gags. So I kind of, when I think of it like, favorite scenes or whatever, I kind of think like, all right, like which gags do I like?
I'm trying to think.
I mean, you already mentioned, but I think the shadow puppets is a really good one. That's definitely probably like the most inventive, and yeah, like it's not gory or anything, but is definitely like probably, I would say the most interesting at least.
Yeah, it's an idea. It's an idea. I mean, the one where the woman answers the door and it's like a guy delivering pizza, and but then a clown pops out of the pizza, and then that's a visual at least.
The only thing I don't get about that is she goes like, what does she say? She says like, "Oh, great pizza," and I'm like, why would you be mad at pizza?
Also, why were you not expecting it?
Yeah, like I don't know. Like, does she not have like? Was she expecting someone? Because like, if I was that person, and someone just randomly rings my doorbell at night, first I would look through the peephole, and then when I see it's like two large grotesque clowns, I probably want to answer the door.
I think they stole the pizza box off someone. I assume the pizza delivery man was coming towards the door at some point, and I have to assume that maybe she knows the pizza delivery man. She's hoping that it's the gentleman she's become accustomed to. Maybe this is her making the first move. She's in love with the pizza delivery guy, and she's gotten all gotten the nice outfit on. She's got the sexy lingerie.
Oh, okay. I didn't really think about it this way, but is it like that kind of like a
like a porn movie, Tim? Like a porn movie
parody? Yeah, like the pizza guy comes over and like it's a sexily clad woman opens the door. So okay, I get
she's there to seduce the pizza guy, but she got 4 clowns instead.
Well, you win some, you lose some. Actually, one scene, like I wouldn't say there was much about the movie like I like disliked or anything, but I will say the drugstore scene goes on for so long, and it's really not that interesting. I don't like just the clowns just knocking over everything in the drugstore while the guy like comically reacts to him. It just went on so long.
Yeah, there's not really much to it. It's weird. It's just again, like you just said, there's nothing I really necessarily dislike per se. It's just missing something. I feel like a lot of the time, there's just something missing. But yeah, we haven't talked about Clownzilla yet. Do you want to talk about Clownzilla?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the like the end here. First of all, I like I'm not sure how they necessarily got the truck into the spaceship, but I thought that was like a nice little whatchamacallit, like a device or whatever, where they have the big like ice cream clown on top of the truck, and then they're kind of using it to command the other clowns. Like I thought, like, oh, this is kind of neat, like seeing the clowns thinking that, what is this, like some type of god or something.
It'd be nice if they set this up where like they kind of stumbled in to do it by accident, like earlier on with one clown. So it was like when they came in to do it to everyone, it was like, okay, they've established that they can do this. They know they can try and pull this off. And there's a lot, because at one point they ask a lot of questions about where these clowns came from, why do they look like clowns. And at one point, one of them suggests, what if they just happen to look like clowns? And I'm like, that would be a fine argument if they didn't have the popcorn, the cotton candy, and like all the humor that a clown would have. Like, no, this is clearly based on Earth clowns somehow, some way.
Oh yeah, no, there's some, like I don't know, something like maybe like an alien visited a circus at some point and then went back and like just.
I
was like,
definitely,
hey guys.
I definitely wanted an explanation. Not that I wanted a good one. I wanted a dumb explanation. Like, you know, just give me something,
sure.
just for the fun of it. If you're going to do the silly B movie thing, then give me the silly B movie exposition that explains why this stupid thing's happening.
You know what? Yeah, you start like 20 years ago with some circus promotion where they're like, we're shooting circus crap up into outer space, and then aliens pick it up or something, and then 20 years later,
A clown is a stowaway on a rocket ship,
or or like, or why not just like alien abductions were kind of big at the time, like you have
sure, yeah.
an alien abducts a clown and like then they worship it as a god or something, and
Like, this is way more advanced than all those other life forms we've beamed up here. We shall worship the clown, live by the clown, die by the clown.
Yeah, there you go. There's lots of things you can do.
Yeah, I felt I was missing that a little bit because I was like, yeah, I like a good explanation. Just give me something, just for fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes like explaining your stupid B movie premise is part of the fun. You know, like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's it.
I mean, sure, okay. They never explained the robots in Chopping Mall Beyond. We have security robots now, but that doesn't need as much explaining per se.
Sure.
I guess the explanation in that movie is they get struck by lightning. That's it. There you go.
Yeah.
You
That
get
makes
killer
sense.
robots. So you know, why do these aliens look like clowns?
Yeah.
But they're here to feed. That's what we do know. And they have the big kaiju clown at the end. Some of the effects are a bit laughable, where like, it clearly switches to like a toy truck at one point when the big clown's picking it up. You know, for the scale. Obviously, this is like a regular sized guy in a clown suit.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be too harsh on that, but it's worth pointing out. It was very jarring every time it cut between them.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's it's fine for the movie. I like that they try to go big at the end. Like, good on them. And it's it's fine. It's a good enough way to end it.
I was surprised when what's his face called in the cavalry that they actually showed up at the end. You know, when Dave called, the state guard or whatever, he's like, "Hey, everyone, come! There's like an invasion happening. People are dead." Also, it turns out they're really easy to kill. Just shoot them in the nose.
Oh yeah, and they kind of they explode with like glitter and stuff. Yeah,
and apparently the kaiju clown is big enough to explode the entire ship.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fine enough way to end it. Actually, a couple of things I forgot about is I do like the scene with the acid pies and that like security guard or whatever. I just whenever I think about this movie, I always think of him saying like, "What are you gonna do with those pies, boy? Those pies, boys, or whatever." And they just throw all the pies out. I'm like, yeah, it's like pretty cool.
Yeah, that's an alright scene. In fact, the movie ends with pies getting thrown at the main characters.
Yeah,
as if the clowns are still somewhere off screen.
Yeah, I don't know if that's supposed to say like, are they still alive or?
Yeah, because at the end it's played like as a joke. They just get some pies thrown at them, but like no, but you established earlier on in the movie that these pies from the clowns are acid. So so now I'm thinking the main characters are all dead and they've all lost, but which is fine.
It's a very bleak movie.
And if you didn't, get that this movie's just a cartoon and nothing matters, the brothers who are in, because when the kaiju clown throws the truck away, it explodes for no reason, laughably so. But then at the end, they show up alive with Dave, and it's like, oh yeah, we're alive, we hid in the freezer. And I'm like, see, is this where Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull got the idea to hide in the freezer? Is that where this came from? Seriously?
Probably, yeah.
Spielberg and George Lucas watching Killer Clowns going, no, that's an idea. We can use that.
Yeah, probably put that in the back burner. Save it for, 2007 or whenever that movie came out?
If you're telling me it can survive a nuke, I suppose I can buy that it can survive a truck explosion.
Yeah, of course.
Naturally.
Yeah, although I feel, they just the idea though of like the truck like falling from like outer space or whatever, like they probably wouldn't have been okay. It
wasn't quite space. It was like like a mile in the sky. Yeah, they should be dead from the fall. Yeah.
But they all end up living, like, them and Dave, and it's a happy ending, which I guess, I mean, if Dave wasn't in the freezer too, like, he just would have been like fallen out of it or something. Like, I don't know how he survived, but
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's as if the freezer's padded. That's why they survived. Yeah, it's cushioned enough in there that they survived that fall. Yeah.
I mean, I guess ice cream's soft, but if it's frozen, it'd be hard. So I don't know.
Oh dear. Whoever was expecting good analysis of Killer Clowns from Outer Space is going to be sorely disappointed. I guess we should rate the movie though, Tim. What are you giving Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
It's not perfect, and maybe not as not as hyped as some people about it, but I still like it like a good deal. Like, I had a lot of fun rewatching it, and I had a lot of fun the other times I've watched it. I've seen it at least like probably 3 or 4 times in my life now at this point. So I'll give it actually a pretty high score. I'll give it a 7. For at the very least, for the inventiveness and stuff of it, and for kind of like living up to I feel like a pretty good like cheesy B movie. And again, it's kind of that scale where it's like, well, what do you expect when you watch a movie like this?
Something better, apparently, for me. I can't even. It's not even like better in quality. Just something where I just had more fun with it. So I'm going a bit lower than you. I'm going with a 5.5. I don't think it's bad. It's not in the negative. The lower half of the scale.
Sure. It's
just slightly above that middle point, but I think there's some fun scenes in it. There's some things that make me chuckle. But ultimately, it never feels like it lives up to the name or the reputation it has. It feels like it's just trying a little too hard and is lacking the bite. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a bloody violent bite, although that would work. It could be witty character bite. It could be bad acting bite. But it never quite goes full on into any of these areas where it could become what I want it to be, or something. I don't know. I'm lukewarm, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm lukewarm.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. I don't really need much more on it, but I could definitely see where there could be room for it to be better.
Yeah, ain't no chopping mall. That's what I'm saying.
I'm kind of the opposite. A little lukewarm on chopping mall, but
and we've established how wrong you are, Tim. We've established. Chopping Mall, Slumber Party Massacre. These are your dumb B movies from the 80s that you should be enjoying. But hey, so that is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So obviously, let us know what you think of the movie in the comments. If you want to support the channel and the show, you can head over to patreon.com/MailedFuzzTV, and you can support us over there for as little as $1 per month. Although the $5 tier does get you access to the voting every month and a bunch of other stuff. You can also support us with liking, subscribing, rating us on your podcast app of choice. All those things do help with promoting the show out in the service. YouTube especially likes the comments and the likes and all that sort of stuff. But that is us. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. Get us on Twitter at Screams Midnight for channel updates or for show updates specifically. But that is us. So thank you once again. We'll see you next time. Keep watching scary movies, guys. Goodbye.